Good morning, students. I, Dr. Sanjana Sharma, welcome you to the class of paper 9th C, that is Indian Classics in Translations. Students, in this class of ours, we are going to read translations of some masterpieces from Indian writers, uh, that is of that too from different genres. In this paper, we are going to study Tulsidas's Balkand, that is a part of Ramcharitmanas. We are going to study a chapter from Bhagavad Gita. These are our religious scriptures, as you know very well. Along with them, we are going to study veteran dramatist Kalidas's play Meghdutam. And not only that, we are also going to study Mritchikatikam. That these two are famous Sanskrit plays from ancient India. Students, we are going to enjoy Gitanjali by Sri Ravindranath Tagore and Premchand's Godan. Along with these texts, we are going to study, enjoy, and celebrate various texts, various seminal texts from different languages of India that have been translated into English. Students, let us first of all come to know what is the meaning of the word translate. Students, the word translate comes from Latin word translatio, where trans means across and the word latus means carrying. The word thus means the carrying across of meaning from one language to the other. Students, I would also like to uh, tell you that this presentation, this lecture of mine is based on Professor Mini Chandran's article, The Practice of Translation in India. Now, students, let us come back to our today's lecture. And now I would like to add that various Indian language words for translation do not convey this meaning. In Hindi, we have anuvad, that means speak after. Bhashantar, that is also a word from Hindi. It means linguistic transference. Tarzuma, that comes from Urdu. It means reproduction. Rupantar, once again a Hindi word, means change of form. Vivartan, that means change. And regarding this, Professor P. Lal, who is a very well known translator from India, has described all these things as change of script. He calls it transcreation. This is a process whereby the translation, rather than a docile transference of meaning from one linguistic system to the other, becomes a retelling by the translator in another language. So, students, now let us very briefly overview uh, translation in India in ancient times. Students, as we know that India has always been a multilingual country, and there are two distinct language families in India, the Indo-Aryan and the Dravidian. Most of the ancient of Dravidian languages like Tamil, Kannada, Telugu and Malayalam uh, they have evolved from Tamil language itself. And students, we also know that Sanskrit was the dominant language in the northern part of India in the ancient times, but other languages such as Prakrit and Pali were also used as languages of communication by common masses. And we all know that, and we have all read in the books of history and languages, that Sanskrit was the language of literature and religious rites. But when we go through the texts written by poets like Kalidas, we come to know that even in the plays of Kalidas and other playwrights of the time, some characters spoke Prakrit or other dialects like Sorsini or Magdi. And student, it was normal and acceptable to change from one dialect into another or one language into another in the course of the same text. Students, now let us see uh, how translation was taking place in medieval India. When we talk of medieval India, we very well know that as India passed into the medieval period, the influence of Sanskrit declined. The various invasions during this period also brought with them different cultural and linguistic influences. And during this period, students' Persian became the dominant language because it was the language of the court. It was also considered to be the elite language of scholarship under the Mughal kings. And students, I would like to share that Mughal courts had translators and scholars, and autobiography of Babur that was written in Chagatai language, and the title of this autobiography is Babar Nama. It was translated into Persian by Humayun's minister Behram Khan. We all have heard of name of Behram Khan, and Akbar also commissioned translations of Sanskrit work into Persian. Students, Mahabharata was translated into Persian during Akbar's time, and Darashiko, son of Aurangzeb, translated. Sorry, his great grandson, Akbar's great grandson Darashiko, translated the Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita into Persian. And if we see the impact of these translations on society, on culture, we come to know that these translations help to make people bilingual. That means most of them knew two languages or even more so. This practice gave rise to new languages like Urdu. That was the result of the interaction of Persian with the local language. Students, these translations introduced new genres to India. For example, Professor Chandran states that translation from Persian brought in new genres like Qasida and ghazals, and they were Indianized to suit the local readers' taste. Students, we all have heard name of famous Shair Mirza Ghalib. The most important of ghazal writer wrote in Persian and Urdu. Many Indian texts reached the West through Persian translations. Students, now let us discuss how translation was done, or how what was the practice of translation in the colonial period. Students, we all know that with the coming of the British, English became the dominant language and Sanskrit and Persian declined further. The Britishers initially attempted to establish that the English language and literature was superior to all the Indian languages and literature put together. But the one important aspect of this period was that it was also important for the British to know the local languages, as matter of administration had to be done in Indian languages. It was necessary for them to know the Indian languages to govern it. So there was also a reverse movement of translation from India to England. Sir William Jones, who founded the Asiatic Society, translated Abhigyan Shakuntalam into English in the year 1789. Charles Wilkins, official translator of Persian and Bengali to the Commissioner of Revenue, was first to translate Bhagavad Gita into English in the year 1784. These translations had official blessings as they were undertaken with the specific purpose of helping the British to know India better. And students, after the First War of Independence of the 1857, we all know that English became the language of administration and it was promoted amongst Indian. And there was large scale efforts to translate English books into Indian languages and promote English literature. Many obscure 18th and 19th century English novels found their way to English languages. And it also happened, students, that during this period, Bible came to be translated into most of the regional English Indian languages. The Bible translations helped a great deal in strengthening the regional languages of India. And they were translated into simple language that could be understood by the layperson. And the British also contributed to the local languages by bringing out systematic books on grammar and compiling dictionaries. So, students, we have seen that translation played a major role in spreading masterpieces from India, Indian literature coming from different languages to spread in the whole world. So, students, uh, this paper is going to be very interesting because in this paper we are going to read masterpieces from Indian poets, dramatists, novelists, and that too written originally in various languages such as Sanskrit, Kannada, Bengali, Hindi, to name a few. Thank you very much, students. We will be discussing some more facts related with translations in our coming classes. Thank you very much.